Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm going to be going over a bunch of regional results from this past weekend. There weren't any regionals in North America, but regionals in Europe and elsewhere. So starting off, this is a list I got like second at a regional. It was a Mitsurugi Razio list, and obviously Feral Imps was banned, but I think Mitsurugi Razio is still playable, and this guy kind of, I don't know if they proved it, but he did well. So this is like his list. He's playing like standard Mitsurugi cards. He's playing the pre-prep, which I think makes sense. You want to like draw a Mitsurugi card more than ever. He's playing Futsu, which obviously makes sense with pre-prep. He's playing Magatama in the main, which is might be a bit. I'm not gonna lie, I think it's a bit OD, but sure. But I think the main thing to talk about here is the Razio cards. So you might be like, well, what do you do with Razio cards if you only see the Razio cards, right? Because it doesn't give you the Mitsurugi. There are a couple things. So some people were posting combos with the Mathmech rank 4, Alan Bershin. That works, but the issue is that it just takes too many resources, so it's hard to do that and other stuff. So I think it's not that great. But what you can do is you can go like dual drive like cross, and you can still make detonator, but you can also make Dugaris. So between Dugaris and the cross, you end up drawing like 3 cards. And when you play, like, how many Mitsurugi starters is this, right? You play triple prayers, triple pre-prep, triple Habakiri. You have like, if you draw 3, you have 9 cards immediately, but you just say like, you draw this card, you see your engine. So the chance of it's actually pretty decent. I haven't done the math, and I'm not gonna do the math, I'm not gonna lie, because I'm not gonna play the deck. I might do the math, I don't know. But the chances is actually pretty decent, so it ends up working out pretty well. You could even argue that like, if you start with like X and then you go like node before you normal summon, then you can draw into like a Aramasa too. But yeah, anywho, I think this is still good enough. Like, that combo still like works. Even if you don't draw like a Mitsurugi card, it's not the end of the world. You still like drew 2, drew 3, yada yada yada. So I think it's chill. So I actually think this deck is very playable, and X Rizal obviously is still an insane card going second. The issue is that you don't have much access to X Rizal unless you play Seventh Tachyon. I think Seventh Tachyon is not bad. I like it personally. The only issue is like Droll, which is not really a main deck thing to be fair. So honestly, I potentially main deck the 7 Tachyon. Post side, it does get a bit weird though. But I think Mitsurugi Rise is still playable. And then for the side deck, he's playing like all the normal like Mitsurugi stuff, the Wosu, the Falsadina, the Purification, and like the trap cards. But yeah, Mitsurugi is still very much a thing, I think. Moving on, this is a list that got top 8 at a regional. It was in Saudi Arabia, which I know people are gonna be like, oh my god, it's Saudi Arabia, blah, 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 blah. But I think this list is honestly pretty solid. I'm not gonna lie. It's actually very close to my list right now. So yeah, so obviously inclusion was limited on the last ban list, and people were like, oh, you have to change the way K9 Crystron is built drastically. But I'm not sure it's true, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. Yes, inclusion was hit limited, so that means, what does that mean? Okay, the deck's consistency was weaker because you see your like Crystron engine less, and then also the deck's like arguably like the grind game is a little bit weaker as well, or at least you just have to sequence things better. For the consistency, you can play more K9 cards. The issue with playing more K9 cards is that even like technically you can have the same percentage of hands that still play Yu-Gi-Oh, but now you're more reliant on your K9 engine or your River Stormer to resolve for you to see your Crystron engine, and that makes the deck more fragile. Into interaction, hand traps, going second, etc., etc. You really want to see like Crystron, because the deck felt super like degenerate when you had the Yokel plus Slow Forward combo, so you really wanted to max out on ways to see that. So other ways you could do that, or you can play cards that get you to Crystron engine. Other effective copies of Soul Floor. You can play Pot of Prosperity, you can play Foolish Burial, which can send the Smyger, which can add inclusion. Foolish Burial also has some other utility. You can send like a Lupus. Obviously, you can send like Soul Fafnir or Soul Fedor. You can also send something like Yokel if you have like Lantern in hand. So it has some utility, which is cool. And then he's playing second Smyger as well, which is not terrible. So he kind of, if anything, like before, people weren't really playing the Prosperity, the Foolish, and the second Smyger. So he kind of has more ways to the inclusion now than before. Obviously, Prosperity isn't guaranteed, and but yeah, I think it's so solid. So I like this list, to be honest. I think it's really solid, not gonna lie. In terms of post dude, because this is not post dude yet, because dude isn't out, you would just add on the Roy, and I think it's chill. So I'm not the only thing I'm not sure if second Smyger is that great. It's not a terrible card per se, but it just plays harder into like a lot of interaction, right? Then, because like it's a normal summon, it's like you lose your normal summon, but also it's weakened to something like Drake Horn, for example, a card which is not really good versus your deck. All of a sudden, like, because becomes a little scary. But it's just like mainly that one thing, so it's not, maybe it's chill. Or you get Book of Moon going second into Yummy, and it's like, But yeah, in terms of normal summons, this deck has what, 2 Smyger, the Scrap Recycler, and the Tristalos. Then with the Noroi, you have the Noroi, so that's like 5 normal summons, which is kind of fine. So I think it's potentially chill. And then he's playing the Rabbit in the extra deck. So obviously also the deck lost Paradise Smasher. So he's playing Silhouette Rabbit, and then deciding the Trap card. In terms of the end board is still chill. I would be a bit worried about getting my board cracked playing against a deck that's playing some amount of breakers, but I'm not even sure how many people are on that right now. And then he's siding the Clockwork Knight, siding the Forced Release, so pretty standard. Something I was messing around with that I want to test more is Spell Canceller. I'll have like a deck list in the next couple of days. I'm just deciding like on the best, if I want to play Spell Canceller or not. You can do Spell Canceller with the Imperial Princess, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah. Moving on, we have a list I got top 8 at regional, a Maliss list, Millennium Maliss. So obviously Maliss is hit. They banned Splash Mage, which people are like, oh, this is crazy hit, and I think I overestimated the hit a bit at first too. So you actually can do a lot of the same combos, well, all the combos really, without Splash Mage. Splash Mage just matters. Well, sometimes it might matter if you feel like field spell stuff, but it also mainly matters for like playing versus interaction. So this guy added the Millennium Engine to the deck, which I get his reasoning. It's like, okay, if my deck, like, if I lose the Splash Mage, so I need like more resources to play through like hand traps, I can add like a Millennium Engine. Also, like Dormouse is limited, so Millennium Engine also gets you to Engine in a sense, because you can do Zombie Vampire. So because it's one card rank 8, so you can go Zombie Vampire. Zombie Vampire can mill, you know, any of these really like 12 cards, right? You can mill Dormouse, Rabbit, Cat, even Hare, Backup. You know, you can mill any of these cards and it's chill. So I mess with it. Or you could even mill like Malice in the Mirror and like, actually it doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't work actually, never mind. Well, actually, you can, if you mill Malice in the Mirror in one underground, you can go SP Banish Mirror to get the second underground. That's kind of meme, obviously, but yeah. But anywho, Millennium Engine's cute. Millennium Engine does pay a lot of life points, and you do pay a lot of life points. I saw with your Malice combo, so a bit scary. So he's not playing TB11, which I know some people were talking about, like, oh, you play TB11 now. I can understand the reasoning not to, because if he is playing another engine in the deck, like another like engine to help him play. So like if you draw like multiple engine cards, you don't really need TB11 potentially. So I can understand not wanting to play it. TB11 is more so important in the build where you play like just like vanilla, like Maliss plays. But yeah. Moving on, this is a list that did top a regional. It was second place actually. Mitsurugi Orcust. So do I think Mitsurugi Orcust is good? No, I do not. I do not think Mitsurugi Orcust is good. But I think it's like playable, and it's not honestly the worst deck. I mean, my main issue with the Mitsurugi Orcust deck is I think it's not consistent enough. Like look, you have like how many good Orcust cards you do want? You have 3 Gear Suit, 3 Harp, and the Foolish Burial. That's really it. So it's not consistent enough. The Orcust cards are terrible going second. They actually play super bad in interaction, so that's a negative. And they require like cards on the field to do something. Also, they play a lot of bricks too. Like, look at this Orcust deck. Like, we're already playing a bunch of bricks for the Mitsurugi cards, and the bricks are a bit more conditional with Mitsurugi. Like, sometimes, like, Murakumo can be a brick, but sometimes you just draw, like, Ritual Spell with it, and it's, like, fine. But, like, objectively speaking, the deck plays a lot of card-dependent / bricky cards. Mitsurugi, right? Orcust, we're playing Skeleton. We're playing World Crown, which maybe you could arguably cut, but Crescendo, Babel. And I'm not saying, like, that's, like, I just named 4 cards. He's playing 7 starters, so it's like a ratio of 7 to 4. And I'm not saying he's like a bad player for playing these cards. Like, you probably do play them. I'm just saying that like it's a weakness of the deck. So this is a weakness. The engine being pretty poor going second is a weakness, and I think this consistency is also a weakness of just not having enough good starters. So I'm not a big fan of the Mitsurugi Orcust deck, but it's not completely unplayable. It definitely functions. So. You have that. I think you don't need it. You don't need Feral Imps to bridge either. I think that's like totally fine with not having the Feral Imps. If you just like, because you can still go from like Mitsurugi to Orcust kind of if your Zombie Vampire hits. But if you only have, I think only the Orcust engine. I think it's like you still do a lot. Also, because you play so many like Mitsurugi starters, you're gonna like 9. It's like fine. Moving on, we have this guy, an Italian player, I believe, Danilo, whatever his name is. He got 5th place at a regional with Yummy. This is a hand trap Yummy build, which I just want to talk about a little bit of how to like to approach the deck. So you see he's maining the Delta and the side frames, which I agree with honestly, because the issue is that like against like if you're expecting to play against like Mitsurugi and stuff like that, like bro, like come on, like Valor, Ogre, like those cards, those hand traps are like poor. So if you want to play a hand trap, I think Delta is like the next best thing in the main deck. I know some people might be a bit adverse to main decking it, but I think it's potentially like fine. So I think it's chill. And the Delta against, sorry, I'm stuttering. The Delta going second against Yugioh 2 is actually pretty solid as well. Against the mirror match, it can be a bit flippy, but I haven't tested it too much into that, so maybe. But yeah, I think the one Obedience School is chill. He's playing the map because Obedience School is at 1, so for consistency. I'm not sure if I'd imagine he probably wouldn't play map post Dude, just because we have like Marshmallow, but you know. Also, potentially more people like main deck control. I think it would be a bit risky to play into it like for that. But I digress. And then he's playing the Lambda also, so that like when you go first, you can summon the Lambda and then your side frame is live, which is pretty good into some matchups. So I was actually doing theory with a friend about this, like Lambda. I was looking into like, are there any cool synchro targets we can make the opponent's turn once we like side frame, but once we like summon the Delta, use Delta like a guy for like a Mega or something like that. There's also a combo you can do. Actually, I'm not gonna talk about that. But yeah, I just want to say, it's cool. And then we have this French, not another French, but this is a French player, Khan. So there's no deck list, but he won his regional, and basically he played Mitsurugi Yummy. And I wanted to talk about the Mitsurugi Yummy deck a bit, because this deck is seeing a ton of people talking about it, right? So Mitsurugi Yummy, I know I called it dog shit. I called it dog shit in the previous video. I'm aware. I might have been wrong a little bit. But anywho, Mitsurugi Yummy is seeing a ton of people talking about it, and probably for good reason. I think the deck is honestly, I changed my opinion on it. I think it's strong. At first, I called it dog shit. I was just like, I looked at the amount of bricks and I was like, bro, I'm not doing this stuff. And I don't think it's the best deck, but I think that it is definitely pretty decent. Yeah, it's a scary deck. You know, I'm not gonna get too much into like the reasons to play the deck and not to play the deck right now. I'll more so do that in the Mitsurugi in the deck profile, which I might upload tomorrow, or I might upload the day after. Probably sometime in the next week, for sure. Sometime in the next week. But the deck is definitely scary. I think for Lil, a lot of people are going to be on it, so it's something I would definitely keep an eye out for moving forward. Also keep an eye out for my deck profile moving forward. Another deck list I wanted to talk about was a Lunalight deck list from just the top to regional. I mean, Lunalight post the set, post the ban list is still a really solid deck. You can pop off pretty hard with it still. Obviously, you didn't really get hit. The matchups I think are better. I think VexenYGO was probably your hardest matchup, so I think the matchups getting better for you is nice. And like heavy poly goes crazy, and decks don't have Liger outs. The only thing with Lunalight is that people are respecting the deck more. So like Droll's like popping up more and more in play. Oh, it's mainly because of Mitsurugi, not really Lunalight. But you're kind of taking like shots there. Some people are still fighting Lancia, yada yada yada. I've seen people are even playing like Kaijus in their deck too, like the side deck. Like people are respecting this deck really hard, and I think when the deck sees like people are preparing for it, it's like really rough. Also, like D-Barrier seeing play as well. If you get D-Barrier, like a board breaker build, it's like pack it up. Also, I'm not gonna lie, there's a chance this list, all the lists are from the new ban list, except this list might not be from this list might be from last week. I'm not gonna lie, so like the last format, but I think it's still worth to talk about just because like the deck didn't really change. I mean, nope, really in the main, but aside of that, the deck didn't really change. So I think it's still worth to talk about this list before you're in the comments like this list is from blah, 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 blah. But yeah. Anywho, we have this other Lunalight list, which is actually from post ban list. This guy, Petite or something underscore Naruto, won his regional, and he played Lunalight as well. Not much to talk about. I mean, he played Heavy Poly. Heavy Poly is like the god card. He plays Foolish Rare Goods, who I know some people are like indecisive on, are like not a fan of. I like Foolish Rare Goods, so I'm happy he plays Foolish Rare Goods. I also like that he played One Hound as well. I'm not the biggest Emerald Bird fan. I'm gonna keep it 100. But by that I mean I don't think it's correct. But I digress. But yeah, yeah, deck solid. Deck is just solid. And then this is like the extra deck in case you wanted to like see it. Triple D barrier, which is like a problem if you're playing like these decks, right? You have to worry about D barrier. So yeah. And then the last thing, well, second to last thing I want to talk about is yugioh. This is a yugioh list that topped. This is like a K9 version. A lot of people are playing like there's still a lot of different yugioh variants out there. I'll say that. So it's like interesting to see what people end up messing around with. In terms of what I would expect though from yugioh moving forward, I think people are just gonna be playing yugioh as normal, playing a bunch of hand traps, playing their engine. I don't think Azuna's gonna be going to be staple because Branded Fusion's at 2. Some people might try to mess around with Branded Fusion in the deck. I think Pack uploaded a video on it, so you should check that out if you're interested. But yeah, and then the last regional thing that I want to talk about was this guy Nico. The last name that I'm not going to try to pronounce because I'm going to butcher it super hard. It's a known German player who's known for playing Fiend piles. He topped his regional, went 7-1 with like a Fiend pile deck. Do I think this deck is good? No. I've actually played something similar, and it is very, very fun though. Mutiny the Sky is such a fun card to use. Yugioh, Mutiny, I love using those cards. So, but I don't think this deck is. I don't think this deck is good. But it's like, I mean, this guy, I mean, he's the GOAT, bro. But yeah, anywho, that was it for my regional like information like today. Basically, the main stuff was like talked about before, like the K9 Crystron deck and the Maliss, which I think these decks are still very much playable. People aren't really talking about them, but I think they're still fine. Like high key. Yummy saw decent success from what I was seeing, but it wasn't like insane. And I think moving forward, everyone's preparing for Yummy, and the issue with that is that like, yeah, the matchups just are not that great, right? You have yugioh, Mitsurugi, people hard prep for Yummy. I don't think Yummy's like the best pick moving forward. It's not like a bad deck. Like in a vacuum, the deck is really strong, right? You can play a ton of non-engine, you can play mini bricks, M-board's pretty solid. It's pretty durable versus a bunch of hand traps, but in the context of the format, I'm not sure it's the best pick. But anywho, that was it. I hope you guys did enjoy, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Like I said, my next couple days will be like a Mitsurugi Yummy profile, maybe a K9 Crystron profile. All this posted, obviously. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Anywho, peace.